Hail and salutations and hello to all those on the internet that has come and viewed my stream today. Right now we've got Rival Valkyrie right in there. Nice to see you. We're actually going to cover some tabletop gaming stuff. We're going to sit here, chill, and relax, and I'm going to go over some things that I commonly see on the internet regarding Castles and Crusades. Real quick, let's get an image up in here on some Castles and Crusades stuff because I'd like to share that with everybody today. Some Castles and Crusades, because there's some stuff coming up in the future I can't disclose yet. I'm waiting on permission to do it, but not really permission. It's a big thing, huge thing going on, but we will get there. We will cover it at some point. I am just looking for a nice photo. I think this is it right here. Here we go. There we go. Let's pull this bad boy. There we go. Some Castles and Crusades. This is the main player's handbook. One of the main covers here. I actually have that cover. That one. I like that one. I think it's pretty good. But we are going to cover some gaming stuff and answer any questions that people may or may not have regarding Castles and Crusades. If I do have someone that goes by the name of Dungeon Dave in the Discord, this question is something you asked in a Discord server, which I will not share on here. Unless somebody says it's okay, then I will. But this is a actually very good question regarding that. I know you're looking for some cheat sheets, and really, I hope maybe this will help you. And I want to give you some notes, but I didn't know how to give it to you on Discord other than let me tell you a bit about it, because this could get a little bit long-winded. I often use the Castle Keeper's screen as my resource. The three main things that you always have to remember are the following, sir. Number one, all skill rolls are made with the D20 plus attribute modifier plus level. Number two, if it's not a normal skill roll, it's just something simple like initiative or something that you feel that the level would add too much to, you can actually take that away at your discretion. And number three, remember these two basic words, primary and secondary. All primary attribute rolls that you make, like say for instance, skill rolls are not really a thing in Castles and Crusades. All skill rolls are done by attributes. I, for one, did add skills in, and I will actually share that in a little bit. But remember, if they're primary, the base difficulty begins at 12. If they're secondary, the base difficulty begins at 18. And you can make it difficult with a challenge level of 1 to 20. It's very simple. Most challenge levels default to 0 unless the Castle Keeper says otherwise. This is very important to remember, and that is actually the biggest thing, including when it comes to spellcasters. Now, when it comes to spellcasters, if there's a spell resistance, it's very, very simple. Their resistance level is generally equal to their actual character level, and what you do is you will actually roll against, like when a spellcaster casts anything against someone who has a spell resistance, they actually begin rolling, using their spell resistance level as basically the difficulty. That's it. So like if they're like level 2 and the spell resistance level is 2, you would roll a d20. You don't add anything to it. You just roll a d20 to see if they would resist it or not, or to see if you would hit them or not. These are actually are actually very much defined in the book. I can actually even recite a few pages for those who are there. If you guys have any further questions, please let them know in the chat. I definitely like to actually cover this. And I wanted to cover this very early on in the stream, so that way it's easy for everyone to find. Because these very things are actually very simple. Now, all you have to do, when it comes to if someone is trying to resist spells, and you gotta try and hit them, all you gotta do is roll higher than their spell resistance. So, for someone of level 2 with a spell resistance of basically 2, because it's equal to their character level, the chances of you hitting them are very much high, especially if you're a little bit more powerful. It's really that simple. I wish I could actually throw together a few streams where we can actually demonstrate some of these things. No telling if there would be, but I mean, I probably would have to get with my players. But these are some common questions that I do see very often on many different servers and even on the internet that a lot of people do actually have. So I definitely wanted to cover that. On that, we're here to chill, relax, and have a good time. And hopefully I can try and keep you guys as entertained as possible. I'm actually going to open up a feed here real quick. We're going to open up Foundry, as I like to say. So I'm actually just going to switch to the Foundry page real quick. Actually, let me switch back until I can get Foundry booted up. Nobody needs to see my passwords. If you can even see it. Okay, if it opens up. It'll open up. It just takes a minute. Alright, here we go. We got some nice Foundry here. Move. I gotta move some stuff around. Give me just a hot second, everybody. Does anyone have any questions regarding tabletop gaming or anything in general? Please ask. I mean, seriously, please ask. I'm kind of running out of material here. Alrighty. Alright, we're going to switch over to Foundry now. And this is my main Foundry page. This is where I host my Chronicles of Paramore, which we will be returning to in the fall. I might actually do it this Friday. My team is I'm a complete noob about tabletop, so I wouldn't know. That's okay. You know what? You're a complete noob. Let's start off with some basics, okay? When it comes to tabletop gaming, the only thing you have to really do, and yes, I know you're driving, honey, I got it. Alright, first thing, when knowing anything of how to play tabletop gaming, all you really got to have is the basic character sheet. Your castle keeper should be more than willing to actually help you out with anything, and if they say, oh, just refer to the rules, well, they're not being a very good castle keeper or game master now, are they? To basically start off, you just got to know what kind of character you would like to play. For instance, in Castles and Crusades, there's a lot of characters to play. You can play an elf. You could play a human. Half elf, half orc. You could play any character you want. Dwarf. For those who are Lord of the Rings fan, we might be able to make a dwarf today. Who knows? But let's start off with the basics of human. When you kind of get into other character races, such as elf and dwarves, they definitely have what you call character modifiers. Let's start off with a little something of some basic character. Here, I'm going to make a basic level 1 character, and then I'm going to level him up to level 8, because I plan on running a level 8 adventure in the Chronicles of Paramore once more. Just not anytime soon. So, or maybe sooner than I think. I don't know. Time. Alright, so, to start off, we're going to say human, and then we get to choose between 13 basic core classes, such as Assassin, Barbarian, Bard, Cleric, Druid, Fighter, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. I don't know if there's an H name. I for Illusionist. M for Monk. We also have Paladins, Knights, Rangers, Rogues, and of course, my personal favorite, Wizards. Which that's everyone's personal favorite. Whenever there's an issue, there's stuff like that. If you don't know which ones of them are, I will actually list the classes for you here in the chat, and then you can look them up online as well and to see what they actually say. Because, you know, some of these fantasy races are actually pretty cool, or fantasy classes, excuse me, not races, classes, are actually pretty cool to look at. We have, like, of course, 13 classes. So I'm going to roll me a D13 and see which one we get. Spartacus, hail to you, brother. Alright, so I'm going to roll a D13, which a D13 does exist. It's called a specialty dice. They are very much expensive. But here, in this great thing called Foundry, we do have what we call dice rollers. And you can roll you can make up any kind of dice you want and roll it in here. I can roll a D200. So let's see, R1D200. See? There you go. And it does roll it, and it counts it as one dice. Of course, the default is the D6, but that's just the way it is. So, you know, Spartacus, since you are actually in the chat, you probably have noticed that the UI is definitely way different than you're probably used to when it comes to Foundry. Yes, this was the update. This was the update that costed us our Cyberpunk 2020 game, of which we will talk about that later. But not today, folks. Not today. Meanwhile, let's get back to some things here. So I'm going to roll a D13. And here we go. I got a 2. I think Barbarian was the second class I mentioned. And, you know, we're just finished work, heading home now. Oh, sweet, sweet. Doing a stream here, so yeah. Alright, so we're going to open up Castles and Crusades, and I do have the Reforged book, so I am going to... Is the update bad? It's not that the update's bad, it's just the system that we were using, our Cyberpunk 2020 game. Unfortunately, that whole system was not being supported any longer by the creators, and unfortunately, instead of updating to the new, because when you update stuff like that, and the file, it didn't wipe out the info, it just locked it down, because when you don't update certain things, it gridlocks it, basically, as I like to put it. Because when you update a program and you're posting, like, say, directories inside that program, you have to code the directories to what code is available for that program. For instance, there are two different programming languages, such as C++ and Visual Basics, have similar code, but they did carry similar, but also some different defined variables, or some different ways to define variables. For those who don't know programming languages, I know 2 of them, C++, 3 of them, C++, C#, and I actually knew Visual Basic, which was more for Visual Basic was more for UI, whereas C++ was mostly for the code. Yeah. I'm working on a solution for that now. Just not right this freaking minute. All right. So I opened up the page to now humans. The reason why I went with human is because human is kind of like the default template for any game that you play in. They don't really carry any special abilities, so to give it, you just get one additional. You get to choose one additional primary, where all the other races get things a little bit different. That sounds gun to relearn. Yeah, it takes a minute, but anyway. All right, so we're gonna go with Barbarian. The only thing that humans get differently is they get to pick a third primary attribute, which we will in a little bit. Primary attributes are selected by race and class. Simple as that. That's the only two variables that helps you select those two, is race and class. The gist of it is the server was supported until the recent updating, rendering useless and frustrating because you can't. Yeah, that's basically it. We're actually going to be getting away from. We're going to stay with Foundry with whatever we can for maps and whatnot. But as far as for information on there, we're going to be migrating all of our stuff to new forms. And they're going to be more or less physical forms. And I will probably have to go back to keeping 2 pieces of information in 2 different locations, which is basically what I'm going to do. Anyway, so Barbarians. And this is very simple. All you got to do is read the Barbarian stats. All right, so humans, they get to move 30 feet per round, so that's true. That gets to stay there. Humans gets to select an additional primary attribute. AC is defined by 10 plus your dexterity plus any armor that you're wearing. This includes body armor and shields and helms. We're going to put it down to 10 because 10 is the baseline, and I have dexterity of 0. If this modifier changes, I get to change that in a little bit. And we're going to put that to 0 because we don't know what the base to hit is. Base to hit for some classes starts off at 1 for first level. For others, it starts off at 0. Alright, so moving forward, and the class hit dice has not been defined yet, so we are going to get rid of that. And that means the hit points can't be defined until we define our stats attributes. The very first thing is to coming up with your stats attributes once you know what kind of race and class you want to do. Before you even look at anything else, you got to come up with your stats. Easy way to do this is roll a 3d6. And I'm going to roll 3d6 6 times. And so you roll 3d6, and whatever the result is, it generates what you call an attribute score. Now you can roll them in order or any way, however you see fit, or you can just generate them, and that way you can select where they go. So I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I need one more. The lowest number you can get is a 3. The highest number you can get is an 18. In a lot of cases, if you get a 3, Castle Keepers generally might want to go, hey, why don't you re-roll that again? Alright, I have 12, 10, 13, 7, 9, and 12. I have one low attribute, and I have one decently sized attribute where I get that, but basically all my modifiers are going to be between -1 and +1. Yes, I remember that crap. Alright, so primary attribute for Barbarians is Constitution. Like I said, your primary attributes are defined by your class, and you get to actually pick one selection, one additional one for your race. Now, as for humans, they get to pick so you get one for race and one for class. The class one is already defined in the book, so you have to select that one no matter what. And then you get to pick one additional one for just being a character. Anyone you want. But because I'm human, I get an extra primary attribute on that, so which means I get to pick 2 more. Now, since I'm a freaking barbarian, and they are generally, their biggest attribute rolls are always going to be Constitution, that's already selected there, I'm also going to select Strength and Dexterity. And so that's how I'm going to go with that. And so now I'm going to place that. I'm going to place a 13 right here. I'm going to do a 12 here. And another 12 here. Doesn't really help me out none, but my least favorite... Okay, 10 there. 9 here. And 7 here. Barbarians don't need to look so good. Or... be able, I mean, they could command stuff. Their charisma modifier would be for commanding if they were commanding whole armies, but my character, who is level 1, will not be commanding any fucking armies. Excuse my language. Alright, so, and then D12 is my class, so I get 1 D12. The one before the D is actually the level, and that's what you get per level. So I am going to start off with 13 points, 13 hit points, which is kind of high for a first level. Some have actually scored higher. I think I've seen the highest score is a 15. But that's with their con being basically at 18 and them having the D12. So, yeah, so this is, so the highest that anyone can get probably for their first set of hit points is basically 15. So I'm almost near max that I could get for first level. For anyone. And that's only if, like, I had this, like, freaking 18. If I only had, like, that score all the way up there. But I don't. I have it all the way down here. So, there you go. Alright. So, I chose a barbarian. Now, generally, deities are usually being able to be chosen from with whatever the world has to offer. Disposition is basically your alignment. Lawful good, neutral good, chaotic good. And then... neutral good. Oh God. See, lawful good, neutral good, chaotic good. Then you have lawful neutral, true neutral, which is basically neutral. And then you have, like the stream, guys, and shout out to my friend. Hey, what's up, Furious Dan? Chaotic lootful. That would basically be chaotic lootful. There is no such thing. So let's see. Chaotic. Chaotic would be chaotic good, because like you got lawful, neutral, and chaotic, which is like how would your character view the law, and do they actually give a damn? And then it's good. Are you good? Are you neutral? Or are you an evil person? It depends. For me, I'm gonna roll I'm going to roll a 1d9 and see what I come up with. Well, it basically gave me chaotic good. So, I'm a good guy, but I'm going to break the law to do good, regardless what it is. Chaotic neutral? Yes. Let me read some of these actual, descriptions on the alignment. It's actually kind of not really that bad when you kind of think about it once you get the gist of how alignment axes work. It's 9 alignments. In here, I will even probably share some of the book for over it. So, give me 1 second here. They did change this whole part around. I didn't really. I mean, let me open up so like Batman when vigilantism is bad. LOL. Batman was what you call chaotic good, actually. He 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 cared for the law, but he went outside the law to do good, if that makes sense. Um it's crazy to think about, but he would break the law and break due process when somebody committed something bad. Batman could even be as far as up the axis. He could probably be neutral good, where it's not that he doesn't care about the law, it's just the law is there. There are, the law is there to protect the innocent, but sometimes it has its loopholes. With Batman, there are no loopholes. So it's crazy to think about. But if you're putting that together, you kind of get the gist of how alignment does work. Catch you later, figures, Dan. All right, so lawful good. Our characters of this alignment. Okay, so characters that are lawful good are dedicated to following the strictures of society, respecting law and order. Whereas characters of lawful neutral will place primary importance on the ultimate order, structure, and regulations of behavior. However, good and evil are largely relevant to the character's point of view. And lawful evil are characters of this alignment value structure and order, and they place no limit on attaining it. Which means whatever benefits their own personal goals, but they will do it within the confines of the law. But they're still evil. Go ahead and figure that one out. Neutral good is basically just a healthy respect for both law and freedom, typically choosing the road that betwixt the two, the two in order to achieve benefits and mercy for all. And truly neutral characters, my personal favorite, basically believe in balance between law and chaos and good and evil. That's true neutral. That is pretty good. Lawful evil would probably be something akin to authoritistic enforcer. Yeah, pretty much. They do not, lawful evil does not value life or concerns for others, but ultimately they do seek to impose their ideals on others through strict regulation and by passing laws to do it. Neutral evil characters mirror those of neutral good, but they typically follow the road that benefits themselves instead of others. And yes, I am reading these from the book. And then chaotic good, basically their view is the greatest good as being attainable through freedom and individual liberty. Chaotic neutral basically values individual freedom, and they have no qualms in achieving it by whatever means necessary, good or otherwise. And then, of course, chaotic evil are those that tend not to value anything. They will destroy everything to basically seek their own stuff. If it makes sense for me to go after Spartacus because he has the one ring, and I think I deserve it more than he does, I'm gonna go after him for that. So there we go. Except the one ring, that was pure evil. Made out of selfish and greed. So yeah, I'm a chaotic good character, I will go places, I will follow the law, but, if somebody punches me in the face, I am punching back, but I will not kill him. Alright. Alright, so where were we? Barbarians. That's right. Barbarian classes. I like barbarians. Not my most favorite class to play. Alright, so the very first thing to do... Alright, so they don't get a bonus to hit. I don't have anything special there. So the next thing to do is to write down your character's abilities. Now, humans don't really have any character abilities, racial character abilities, so we can just write down the classes. So we have Combat Sense, which gives me +2 bonus to surprise checks. And then I also get Deer Stalker. And I'm only writing down the basic footnotes. For further, you'd have to actually read it in the book. Outdoor survival skills, which means I can survive outdoors. Intimidate. And none of these would really get any skill rolls. I mean, well, except for this one. This would be a skill roll. Whoops. I'm going to put con there. So D20 plus 1 plus my level. -2 to 1 opponents. So if I combat rolls, attribute checks, and saves. So if I'm successful and intimidating, they take a -2. And that does get worse over time. And then +4 to any physical check. But you must declare that before. Now that just you just gain that if you declare your primeval instincts. And then next is getting your character's equipment. Now, since we're going to level this up a little bit later, I'm just going to actually start the starting equipment. Just show you guys how we get that. And basically, that's it. So, to do it, Barbarians get to roll 2d4 times 10. So, I'm going to do R2d4. And then I'm going to do this. And times by 10, I rolled a 5. And times by 10, it's 50. So, I got 50. When I level up my character, I'm going to times that by 8 and see what I have there. But that's basically the gist of character creation. Then you get to choose your starting, basically, equipment. It's really that simple. A lot of people do get kind of intimidated when they read on about a lot of stuff. But truth be told, that's what the CK is here for. Castle Keepers and Game Masters are meant to make your lives easier and, and to know the rules. I know so much of the rules, I can sit here and do the shit blindfold. The only time I can't do it is if I'm working on something else completely different from what my team is working on. But if you're doing that sometimes, or a lot of times, it tends to not work out for the players or you. So best thing to focus one thing at a time. So, with that being said, that's basically... that's just basically it, guys. Yeah. Let's see, I answered some questions, which did not take up a lot of time. We've been going on for 30 minutes. Let me see if I can find any questions on the internet that I do see people struggling with from time to time. Nothing I can find. That's a big disappointment. So, well, let's see here. What are some things that could help out your games for people to stay pretty much in character? Well, you can always use some good music. Here's some good music. I couldn't reel a book and learn from it. I'm more visual and do it by hand learning. What about a paladin class and throwing it back? What about a paladin class? Paladins are generally lawful good classes, although I am thinking about homebrewing a evil paladin class, because in some cases there might still be evil paladins out there. Of course, then you're not really a paladin, you're just like a you're a Dark Knight. And no, we're not talking like Batman Dark Knight. The house will have noise in about 20 minutes. Okay, yep, thank you, Mrs. Tabletop. So I got 20 minutes, guys. Well, let's make a paladin. So let's look at the paladin class, shall we? And I'm actually going to pull this up here, and we're going to look at the paladin class together. I got the wrong book open. I still use, sometimes I still crack open the original books before the Reforged books. I did just get the Reforged books. Paladin of Throwing Back is a class created one-shot questers, I believe. Questers. Yeah, I've never... see, I'm kind of like an old school gamer, so I think that's like a new school term, and I don't think I agreed with it. I can't quite remember. That is definitely good. That is definitely a good question. I have to actually say that is a good question, and I don't know if that's a question I can answer. But let's take a look at a few things. All right, maybe I can try. We're gonna go move up to the studio here. I'm gonna do a screen share. Let's see here, screen share. Here we go. And whoa. It's a fan created class, not the classic, which I understand. Okay, yeah. Not sure if I really agreed with how that worked, to be honest. So, alright, looks like I'm going to have to resize this. There we go. Look at some of this awesome artwork here by TLG. Troller Games, those are the writers, in case anyone needs to know. I'm going to cover up my name a little bit. There we go. Alright. So, Paladin class. So, I'm actually going to look that up for you real quick. Paladin of Throwing Back. Okay, so it's the Oath of Throwing It Back. Okay, so it's not okay. It's a 5e subclass, and yeah, so and it's not really real. It even says it's not meant to be used in actual games. I think it's just like a supposed to just be a joke. Huh. Huh. Weird. Yeah, I am. Huh. Yeah, it's a drinking joke, is what it is about paladins. Yeah. For everyone to know, his name is Timothy Stutzberg. Oh, okay. The fan that created it? Yeah. I don't think we need to know that. So, I don't know how I feel about that with paladins. My first character... Oh my god. I'm going to share you guys some... So, when I first got into Dungeons and Dragons, I was 18. And my first character was a human paladin. And, I was lawful good. My team was dying. Horrible, gurgling deaths. That confuses me. Then why make it if you can't fit it into a guidebook? Sorry, I'm confused about fan-created... Yes, classes or subclasses. Yeah. So let me tell you something about fan-created stuff. Fan-created stuff kind of became a mocking joke, I think, after a while. Especially with a lot of the new school stuff. I'm not sure as to why that happened. It's just something that actually just became a running joke. When we did homebrew stuff, there was, like, when I did it when I was 18, there was a lot of controversy with trying to keep everything level and not break the system, which is actually very, very possible. There was a lot of homebrew stuff that was really overpowered, and that would give you a lot of boons and stuff. So, the Oath of Throwing It Back was actually made where paladins could drink, because paladins would not essentially be allowed to drink according to how the new school people was reading the book. Here's the thing about paladins that everyone has to know. Lawfully good does not mean you can't drink. It just means that you follow the line of good and order, and that you will do anything to uphold the law. You will not take servants against their will. You will not kill or outside of murder. You will only kill if you need to, but not because it was the first thing of action. So when I was first playing Dungeons and Dragons, I was about 18. What are Oathbreakers? Yeah, that's a bunch of 5e stuff. I don't know. I didn't get that much into 5e. But Oathbreakers are essentially those that breaks their oaths. I don't think Castles and Crusades have Oathbreakers, but we'll get into that. So Paladins, they were kind of made fun of. There's actually a movie, a fan-made movie made by Zombie Orifices. Oh God, what is it? Zombie Orifices? Dead Gentlemen. Those are the two companies. And they're I think they're the same of the other. It's hard for me to explain that. But anyway, and they made the joke about how paladins are lawful stupid, because anytime that a paladin was around, everyone was like, "Oh my God," like they were called the policemen of the world. People hated them a lot in the early 2000s. I know I actually had a group that hated a paladin because when they needed to get answers, they can interrogate, but they can't torture to interrogate. And sometimes you get those enemies that are like, yeah, you can do whatever the hell you want. I'm not going to talk. And then, like, say, for instance, torture is you put your hands on them. A paladin would never put their hands on a person who is basically harmless. So what honor do you have on beating the shit out of someone who's tied to a chair? None whatsoever. So a paladin, and it would be against the law to harm someone who is helpless. So if you're tied against a chair and you're helpless, it would be against the law to do that, so they wouldn't really be lawfully good. So they got the, so they kind of got the reputation of, oh my god, everybody hated them. So they created these so when 5e kind of came around, they created stuff called Oathbreakers, and then some of the fans did like, oh, Paladins, where you could play a Paladin and you could throw it back, and you basically get to drink, you get to contain all your powers of your deity, and you don't have to actually worry about anything. It was basically a way for them to get around the rules of the character's alignment. Are there such thing as evil paladins? They were actually, yes, and Pathfinder was the first one that came up with it. They were known as anti-paladins. Basically where they were supposed to be forces of good, but they were great forces of evil. I actually did play an anti-paladin once, and everyone was like, my god, what is it with you and freaking paladins, right? I'm like, I don't know. Like, righteous of good and evil. Now, see, paladins have either been one or two things for me. There's no such thing as... It's like the Jedi. I like the Pathfinder games by Owlcat Studios. Yeah, there you go. It's actually Paizo that does them, but Owlcat Studios, I want to see if they do some nice settings, too. Oh, wait a minute. Those are the... Let's see here. Maybe I'm thinking, oh, okay, I think they're video games, I think is what we're talking about, but, yep, Wrath of the Righteous and Kingmaker. So anyway, Paizo does the actual tabletop gaming, where Owlcat does the, the video games for him. But anyway, as I was saying, when anti-paladins became a thing, to me, paladins could probably be of anything of both lawful good or chaotic evil. It's like you're the good or you're evil. Like, it's like there's no in between. Like there's no, like, you're either a Jedi or a Sith Lord. You're not like, oh, I'm a gray Jedi. Or I'm, whatever. So, but anyway, continuing forth here. Basically, a paladin and an anti-paladin is just opposite of each other. So, yeah, Pathfinder actually came up with that in their first E-module, and I believe it was an advanced classes that they actually had back in really early 2000s. Like, we're talking around 2007. Which has been almost 20 years. So, but looking at the Paladins, going forward here, I like the fact on how we can go up to, like, level 24, like, that's a really big thing for me. What the hell is this one? Oh, monk. I don't know, I like monks. Look at that. Good photo right there. Wonder if we get a good photo of a good paladin. Look at that. Divine righteousness. The hands of, I don't know, a demon coming up to touch the great sword, but can't? Hell yeah. So, primary attribute is charisma. You think that would be wisdom, but I think wisdom has been taken by the clerics. Charisma is actually something that paladins do use. It wasn't something that I don't remember. Ooh, excuse me. I don't remember much about Pathfinder, but when it was... But in here, their charisma modifier is used to actually buff your actual allies. Alright, so, you got Cure Disease, Detect Evil, Divine Aura, Divine Health, and Lay on Hands. Cure Disease once per week. You know why it takes a week for them to cure disease? If they cure someone's disease, it's because essentially they're laying their divine healing hand of their deity right on you. But essentially, to me, it always kind of go, the reason why it takes a week, because it takes a week for you to dispel the shit from your own body. Because It's taking out the evil. Or the poison. However you want to look at it. Wonder what the reasons are for that. Wonder if it says here in the book. Let's see. Cure disease. At first level, the paladins can cure any disease no matter the origin, once per week. The ability improves as the paladin rises in levels. At 6th level, the paladin can cure disease 2 times per week. Oh no, that's just basically on power. And then 12th level, 3 times per week. Paladins. The righteous fury of any god. Well, I ain't got much time left, so if there's any questions, let's go ahead and take some questions from our fellow folk. Oh, and like I said, music is usually pretty good to get people in the mood. So you got this music here. But if you don't like that one, you could do, let's see, Tavern Celebration. Each one is a little bit different. I've actually been thinking about putting together some of my own stuff. And that one's not playing. There we go. There we go. Let's see what else we got here. We've got the Wizard's Tower. And this usually gets people in the mood, gets their creative juices flowing and stuff like that. Bardcore. And then if you have a bard, you can say, oh, the bard's playing this currently right now. Alright. Well, we're going to close that down. Let's see if there's any other questions I can find before my house gets stormed and raided by a bunch of, like, little ones. Doesn't much. I think I answered some of the main questions that I've seen. That's interesting. Ever played as an evil character? Yes, I actually played... Oh boy, they're almost here. Yes, I played a necromancer once. That I was secretly raising the dead. Nobody knew about it. However, once they found out, they killed me. Also, it might have also been a dead giver when people started waking up sick and ill and they couldn't figure out why their life force was draining away. It was like kind of like they were losing HP when they were resting and they couldn't figure out why, and I was actually siphoning off their life for my own. So I was resting, gaining back some hit points, but I was gaining back all my hit points, so that was kind of a dead giveaway too. I also played as a seductive character where I basically seduced a half-orc pirate. And that was kind of fun. So. Well, it sounds like everyone is at home now. And it's about to get crazy in here. And I think I've ran out of materials. Boy, I ran out kind of quickly, didn't I? Well, I do have some things coming up where I was hoping to have some more stuff. I mean, I did have more stuff planned. I just haven't been able to get around to sharing it yet. Because I haven't received everything, all the final work yet. So hopefully that will be happening at some point today. So hopefully, and if so, we can definitely share it later on this week. So that is everything I have. Unfortunately, we ran a little short. This wasn't meant to be a long stream. Just a basic stream. Stuff to show you guys how to do a few things. And, you know, try to get some streaming in because, you know, instead of my once a week because... we're getting prepared for a really nice event this coming up summer. My event will start June 6th, and you will hopefully see more on that as time continues. Hopefully we'll be able to advertise you guys something here within the coming days, and I mean by the coming days I mean really, really soon. So, but yeah, that's everything I have at this time. Everyone who's joined in, thank you for joining in, and you guys have a great and wonderful day.